Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, make sure you check us out on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Hookah Anonymous _. You guys been telling us to create one for the longest, so we recently created a community where we will upload videos that we can't share on YouTube due to their guidelines. We'll also be dropping the latest to there first, behind the scenes information that you wouldn't find anywhere else on our socials. So make sure you become a member, and after you do that, head over to our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _ and follow us there. Now without further ado, let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, I had to talk about this situation, y'all, because some things just don't make sense. And the part that I hate is the fact that certain animals get a bad rep. And it's one thing if they actually did something, but it's another thing to where certain things don't make sense and they're just putting blame on them, whereas the real suspects may still be at large. Now I say that because this story that we're going to be talking about is from a situation that took place in Queens, New York, where a young girl who was only 1 month old was actually unalived by the family Pitbull that was just 6 months old, but it all happened with the parents sitting right there. I'm not talking about across the room. I'm not talking about on the opposite side. No, literally right there. So what was you doing the whole time a 6 month old pet was able to unalive your 1 month old child? It's not like it was a grown pet. Like, it was still a baby as well. So you know how much nibbling and biting that dog would have to do in order to unalive a child, right? You didn't hear the screams, you didn't hear the cries. I don't care. Let's say hypothetically they were asleep. You mean to tell me you didn't wake up out your sleep to know that your 1 month old was being mauled by a pet? Something ain't right. Anyway, we're going to get into the article so we could fully get into detail as to what happened. And then I want to hear what you guys think about everything afterwards. But before we do that, make sure you hit that thumbs up button so we can get this video into the algorithm. And if you not subscribed to the platform already, make sure you do so now. Let's get into it. Now, according to a New York Post article, it is a quote, "A 1 month old Queens girl was horrifically unalived when the family's puppy chewed off part of her face as she slept between her mom and stepdad," early Tuesday, cops and sources said. The baby's mother, 27, called 911 just after 6:30 a.m. to say her newborn had been lying between the couple in the apartment at NYCHA's Queensbridge houses when the pair woke to find their 6-week-old German Shepherd Pitbull mixed gnawing on the infant's face, law enforcement sources said. The dog bit off a substantial portion of the face of the baby, who had just been born April 13th, sources said. Neighbors could hear a woman from inside the apartment screaming as EMS workers responded to the unit on a 12th Street near 41st Avenue, but the child could not be saved, cops said. Neither the infant nor the couple were immediately identified by police. She told me she woke up and the dog was eating the baby, one of the mom's female friends told the Post, chewing on the baby's face. I said, "Y'all laying right next to the baby? How the F do not hear the baby cry?" the woman said. She didn't have that. She just kept saying, "We was laying right there. We was laying right there." Neighbor Chanel Norval said, "I heard the baby's mother screaming and I heard the cops." She said she warned the new mom 2 days ago to put her dog on a leash, but that woman ignored her, telling her it didn't bite. "I saw that baby 2 days ago. Mother was standing right here holding the baby waiting for the elevator. Then she went back, forgot something, and the dog, which wasn't on the leash, is never on the leash, was never on the leash, walked onto the elevator by itself and went down and got off on some floor. I told her, that dog needs to be on a leash," she said. "No, this dog don't bite," Norval said. I said, "All dogs bite. That dog needs to be on a leash," and she just looked at me like, whatever. I heard this morning and I thought, it's sad. It's effing sad. Longtime neighbor Maria Gutierrez, 29, said the sound of screaming rattled the building. "Someone was screaming this morning," a female's voice, Gutierrez said. "Then later this morning, I came down, I saw the ambulances, and I spoke to my neighbors and I heard that the 1 month old baby was deceased. I have 3 kids and a dog," she said. "Obviously, the first thing is to protect the children. I don't know how that could have happened." Now, so far, 2 or 3 neighbors have said that they don't know how a situation like this can happen. 6:30 in the morning, they're saying that they both were asleep with the infant child right in between them, and the dog decided to maul the infant child down. Now, if you go to the first neighbor, right? The first neighbor said that she basically asked her, like, how didn't y'all hear the baby cry? Right? Like, what was going on? How didn't you hear him? And she says that the mother just kept saying, we was laying right there, we was laying right there, which means she wasn't trying to answer her question because it was just a clear-cut answer. Not to say that you was laying right there. She didn't ask you where y'all was laying. She said, how didn't you hear the baby cry? Now, hypothetically speaking, right? Let's say one person, one out of the two is a heavy sleeper. You mean to tell me that the other person didn't hear the baby cry? You mean to tell me that neither one of y'all felt that the baby was being attacked by the dog? Y'all didn't feel moving, y'all didn't hear the baby, y'all didn't hear the dog? That's kind of hard to believe. You gotta be under some type of substance. I don't know whether it's alcohol, I don't know whether it's drugs. To be honest with you, it gotta be some type of hard drug. When a kid that age wants a bottle, you hear how loud they scream and yell when they cry? You mean to tell me to feel a pain like that, you didn't hear that loud scream, yelling and crying from a baby that was sitting right in between you? Something ain't right, y'all. And even the neighbors that heard the story, they feel the same way. They probably don't want to say it out the sake of, she just lost a child. But I'm pretty sure after these people do their investigations, they're definitely going to see that something wasn't right and it's more to the story. Now, another thing that I found kind of suspicious about this story was the fact that they kept naming a pit bull, right? Because I know it's the stigma that pit bulls are mean, pit bulls are this or that, they're not supposed to be home pets. However, when you read this article, it don't just say that it was a pit bull. It was a German Shepherd mixed with a pit bull. But they know as long as you put pit bull out there, people are going to automatically say, oh, that's a bad dog, it's a bad pet, they're vicious, so it fits the narrative. But if you ask me, it don't matter what pet you got. You could have a pet dolphin. If you train it to be vicious, it's going to be exactly how you train it. And it might not be a shocker to y'all, but I know a couple of families that have pit bulls that had a lot of kids within the household. I'm talking about kids stepping on his head, pulling his tail, jumping on him, the whole 9 yards. But they know better than to bother the kids because they know that they are kids. For some reason, people are under the impression that animals are slow, and that's nowhere near the case. And actually, they're smarter than we think. Trust me. But that's it, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Do y'all think that it was a dog that did this? Or do you think it was some foul play going on and maybe the parents just don't want to say it because they don't want to be under the scrutiny that they did something to their 1-month-old child? Alright? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. And I'm out.